Hello?
Hello, it's PC Harding, police officer.
Okay.
Is it Michael Hart?
Yes.
Yeah, do you mind if I come in?
Yeah, come in, yeah. Have your body cover on?
Yes.
Good.
So, I had a bit of a read about what you've called about, and then what has happened previously.
Dad, cover. Is it Nicholas?
Hello.
My father?
Hello there, Mr. Hart.
Go through and then...
Thank you. 46. Sorry about that. I've had a read. Do you mind if I sit down?
Please sit down.
So I've had a bit of a read about what you've called about, and then I saw what has happened previously, and a bit about the neighbour dispute. Do you want to just talk to me about what's happened recently? What I called?
Well, I've got a video. Just watch the video.
The background is that row of greenery.
Yeah.
Is the flowers from my late wife's funeral that we've tried to keep going in memory of her.
Yeah.
And in order to keep them going, we've got little bits of irrigation tube, and foxes keep coming down and chewing on it. So we've got little fox scarers in there to stop them doing it, and it works.
Mm-hmm.
But for some reason, they don't like it.
What's a fox scarer? What does that do?
Well, it's little things that send out a high intensity beat.
Oh, that's what I could hear.
Yeah. And
Left it too long.
okay, will it come back again?
Yeah.
Right. Anyway, the point is they've taken against them, and despite getting that notice, he walks up and down there, and then when he thinks we're not looking, he takes a big stick and pokes at them to try and disturb them so they don't work anymore.
Right.
And we're saying that that's effectively a breach of the order, let alone a continuing act of harassment, because he's not meant to be interfering with us in any way.
Yeah.
Not to mention, by poking them, he actually makes them make a noise.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, they don't normally make a noise, but when you poke them with a stick and you interfere with the equipment, they all make a noise.
Yeah.
So he's creating the problem he's complaining about.
Anyway, the point is, the thing we're complaining about is that they're on our property, they're there for a perfectly legal reason, they are designed to be non-nuisance, and yet he's still interfering with them.
Yeah.
And then when we went out to, because they're all upside down and got disconnected and stuff, when we went out to put them back in so that they're working again, he came out and started talking to us, which again is a breach of that.
Yeah.
And comes right up, because that's against the fence, he comes right up against the fence, so he's looming over us at the same time. We just ignored him, because that's what he said we've got to do.
Yeah.
And then we put it back out again, and then he did it again.
Yeah.
And then we went out again to do it, and this time when he came out, he just sidled down the wall, so he wasn't caught on the pictures this time, on the security camera, and just stood right looming over us. Okay.
Right, I'm just going to get this on my camera.
Yeah.
You can see him come down, you can see him just walk down there, and that black line is there meant to show that we're trying to not to take pictures of his property.
Sure. I'm fucking going to boot them things off.
So that's him threatening to destroy them. Or break them in some way. We've got wind chimes in that far corner, which means he's playing with something in that far corner, where the water butt is.
Yeah, down bottom right hand corner there's a water butt with some wind chimes on it. They're out, it's outside the camera. There he comes. He's walking up and down, have another look. Michael finds it very threatening because Michael's sight is so limited. All he sees is a big dark shape. And when we
And I
just
can hear him walking up and down, and it's disturbing. And I've got a nervous anxiety disorder because of all of this, and
Yeah.
some amplified because of it. I've taken 4 diazepam before you came in today just to make sure I was going to be stable.
2 visits, previous visit by police officers left us calling the ambulance because of the effect it's had on him.
Right, okay. What's this bit then? What's that looking at?
Yeah, that's a close-up.
That is a
Oh, right,
that's a
okay.
close up of my
Of that
here
bit,
somewhere,
yeah.
so when he does the poking you can see it easier.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll keep it running, and then when it gets to the poking bit, you can.
Did I see it was like 4 minutes long? This?
Well, there's 4 of these. One's 4 minutes long, one's 3 minutes long, one's 2.5 minutes long. There's loads of these. This is the first instance, and I think this is like 3 days ago. What was it?
Yeah.
Don't know which one it is. It's one of them. This might be the first one, for all I know.
There's definitely one where he ends up by poking, isn't it?
Well, they all have him poking in it.
Oh, okay.
That's why they're here. I think I put marker in. Oh, here we go, yeah. I put marker in there. Should be able to allow us to come up with something.
Stupid thing is, he knows quite as well as the CCTV camera. It doesn't stop him.
I mean, didn't the knocking them over even do anything to the sound?
I made it worse.
Yeah.
Because they point upwards, so sound's going up to where people can hear it, rather than down into the ground where you can't.
Yeah.
And they also disconnected. Did you just disconnected one, didn't he?
Yeah, he disconnected one and he interfered with the that's one of these. There's lots of these.
Okay. If you would just hold off on that
Yeah.
for now.
Okay.
Yeah.
What we'll do. So, and then, what did he say to you yesterday then? Or was it yesterday?
Yesterday's one where he was just silent. He just came and loomed over us.
Okay.
The one before he said,
I've got a video.
yeah, in fact it's in the video, but he says, so you've got 8 of these, have you? You know, is that normal or something like that? And I just ignored him. I didn't engage at all. But 8, what he means is 2 of those down there, and then we've got the security lights and the video and the CCTV up there. And I think he's counting everything we've got.
Right.
And it's only up there because of the way we've been felt threatened by him.
Yeah.
And the police who first came said we always had to have evidence to show that what he was doing.
Yeah.
Open them up.
Yeah.
And now apparently it's wrong. And we have the 2 problems now. One is that he's still not really paying attention to this. You know, he's ignoring it. And the second is because the PC Young chose to give Michael an ASB warning notice at the same time.
Which he lied about doing to all the care people. I'd like a care coordinator and a lawyer.
He told both of them he wasn't going to do it, and they both said he shouldn't do it, and he said, I agree. Next thing when he turns up, the first thing he did was give Michael the notice, which then screwed the whole meeting. But the notice asked him to do 2 things he hasn't been doing, as if he'd been doing it all the time.
Yeah.
And I then, one of the things I did is sent a notice via the lawyer who's meant to be handling it, with all the things he's done to be harassing us over the years. None of which is on the notice against him. The notice against him is just really bland. It says one is not to disparage him on next door anymore, and the other is no direct or indirect contact. Now, we believe indirect contact means using other people to harass us instead. So he's complained to the council, he's complained about noise nuisance, for example, and we're waiting for PC Young to get the formal information to come say it was him.
Yeah. I don't know whether that would count as indirect. I think
Yeah.
indirect would be something more like using using someone else's phone, or like getting someone else to kind of
Yeah,
harass
so
you.
the
on
notice,
your
is,
car.
the notice isn't adequate then.
So
Because
it's
it's
Not
your
for
problem,
not
isn't
for
it?
that.
Yeah.
But I'm not
Yeah.
saying
No,
that
okay,
speaking
yeah.
to you
Yeah,
is
no,
that, because
yeah.
speaking to you is
Yeah,
obviously
exactly.
direct
No.
contact.
So he has directly tried to engage us in conversation. We had no reason to go out there at all. The only reason why we were out there is to repair the damage he'd created.
Yeah.
He had no reason to then come out. He then, using his door camera, spying on us, knew we were there, came out and started trying to goat us into talking to him by saying complete nonsense. Like, oh, you've got 8 of those out there, which we do not have. I mean, it's trying to make a situation, it's trying to make it sound like he's being unreasonable. After
Yeah.
the fact he just destroyed my property and played with stuff and fiddled with things.
So the real problem that we've got is that the mere fact that ASB notice has been given to Michael means when he rang up 101, they effectively didn't want to talk to him because he got ASB notice, which means Peter Young said if there was anything happened that worried us, we thought was a breach of the order, we had to ring 101. Now we ring 101 and they don't want to talk to us because we got this notice.
Was that the call to
Last
get
night.
me?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, but I'm here, so I
I
don't know.
know,
what
I
they
know,
said.
but it's just making life difficult.
Yeah, the conversation was needlessly difficult because they started focusing on the fact that I've got an ASB notice too.
So
And it's irrelevant to the conversation. The fact is, he has breached his point and I've done nothing.
Yeah, no, I understand that.
Well, I call it.
So we have 2 separate problems. One is the immediate incident, which we're saying is a breach of the notice.
Yeah.
Okay. The second one, we got a long-term thing, is that the notice against Michael. I
It's
mean,
unfair, unreasonable.
the only evidence that Peter Young used to say that Michael deserved notice was a recent photograph where we had sent him evidence of the neighbour having lit a fire right up here against our fence, right under his air vent. It gave him a blackout, probably damaged the fence. And we've been told, okay, do evidence. So we took a small extract of the CCTV camera that basically pointed our back door. So a tiny bit of it shows him and his house beyond. And now Peter Young said that means we've been taking photographs of his house.
Even though it was done with a very specific purpose to.
And then the only
deter
other thing
crime.
was a picture of what turned out to be Jack and his mate walking up and down outside carrying heavy power tools, looking threatening. And Michael can't see anything to speak of other than these vague shadows moving about. So he posted next door, watch out, there's some very suspicious people about. He didn't say who they were, but he had no idea of knowing who they were. And that's been taking evidence of naming him on next door. And that's the only things he's got. And
The logic doesn't work.
it's just
Because
so...
all he ever says is, oh, but it was your neighbour.
Yeah, but now we know,
But
because
now
he
we know because
self-identified.
he's been self-identified himself when he complained a few days later.
Yeah.
But at the time we didn't know that, and Peter Young was taking that as somehow meaning I did it deliberately somehow.
And Mike had rung up 101 then about these people because he was worried about it. They came, looked at the stills and said, I'm not surprised you rang 101. You know, so...
It was very disturbing. That's the kind of thing burglars do. I mean,
he has an unhealthy interest in what Michael is doing and will set about to disturb Michael all the time, and he uses anything that comes to hand. I mean, recently he previously said we had rat problems here, and then the guys at Merton took one look at him and said, we're forgetting that one. Then they complained to the RSPCA about Michael torturing hedgehogs, and the lady came here and said, well, that's rubbish, obviously. And now we've got the complaint about noise nuisance. Well, I mean, I don't see people walking up and down the street covering their ears.
the only time there's any noise is after he's interfered with them in some way.
So
He's creating the problem. I mean,
and we're relying on the settings in the things that says ordinary human beings should not be able to hear these things.
and everyone who comes here, I ask everyone who comes here, can you hear a loud, piercing, distracting noise?
We've got a mouse scarer in the house, which you probably heard, and they couldn't possibly hear.
And they say it keeps them up at night. And
Anyway, so
they're compulsive liars. One of the big problems is everyone starts with the assumption that everyone's telling the truth, but everything they say is basically a lie. And not just hyperbole. We have proof and evidence. They say whatever they want to say in order to cause offence or annoyance or make some reaction happen.
Yeah.
There's no relationship to the situation.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
no one will take me seriously when I tell them that.
I mean,
I've got 4 other videos just like that one in the last few days.
Yeah, that's
That's
fine.
that's just one of them.
Keep those for me. Right, I'll just explain 2 things.
Yep.
And I don't mean to be patronising or
Yep.
anything like that. It's just I've been on PC Young Safer Neighbourhood team.
Yep.
I've been on Safer Neighbourhood
Yep.
team up in Battersea, and obviously we have neighbour disputes. That's kind of a lot of the things we deal with, and I don't mean to like summarise your problem, but with neighbour disputes, they're quite hard things for police to sort out because a lot of the time we don't have criminal offences, so we can't effectively use powers.
Well, I do have
I
criminal
know,
offences.
I'm not saying, but I'm just saying generally, it's not an easy thing for us to sort out. And secondly, just going on terms of what you say about him lying and things like that, with police, unfortunately, and we get a lot of these problems with domestic situations, is when we don't have evidence and we've got an allegation, but we have to act on those allegations, even if we can't prove them. That's just how the police work.
That makes sense, however. He'll make an allegation which is so outlandish, it can easily be disproven. And this has happened several times. So I think the count now is like 12 or something.
I mean, what we experience time and again is people come here, have a conversation with us, then they go next door, and he tells them something, and that's then believed, and nobody comes back and says, he has told us the following, is it true? And because we can say these are not true.
Is anything coming as a result of those things, though? Like, for instance, like the noise thing, noise complaints.
Well, it's still an outstanding noise complaint because the council haven't decided what to do about it yet.
Yeah, I would say if he is making these claims,
Yeah.
and you are having people come and check, but that's the end of it. I know it's quite annoying, but if they can't prove it, then there's
Can
not
I say
really
what
anything.
our real problem is this? As far as we understand the law in its black and white terms, there is a criminal offence of harassment where the victim has got protected characteristics, as Michael has. He has used those protected characteristics to be able to get at him. My understanding is that the total sum of everything he's done constitutes that crime, but everybody always looks at individual incidents saying, well, that's not criminal, that's not criminal, that's not criminal. But I've got a list of 11 things here of the kinds of things he's been doing over the last year.
Including and not limited to identity theft and misrepresentation.
And that's the PC Young's is meant to be investigating that. I don't know how far he's got, but Rightmove are able to tell him who made the phone call to put our house on the market.
Right.
And they traced it back to him.
Yeah.
They literally traced it back to him. They have the evidence and they refuse to do anything about it because it's a quote-unquote neighbourhood dispute.
What we are very stressed about, and why Michael has to take the husband so that he can have a conversation, is that there is a thing that is in the statute book that says this is a criminal offence, and every time anyone from the Safer Neighbourhood team comes round, or those associated with it, they insist on dealing with each individual incident. That by itself is not a criminal offence. That by itself is not a criminal offence.
And even when one individual offence is a criminal offence, they refuse to deal with it.
So we're waiting to
It's
see.
in the Evidence Act, it's in the Policing Act of 1941, it's in there. It's nothing to do with neighbourhood disputes. It doesn't matter if it's my neighbour. When all this started, he wasn't our neighbour. Which is, again, why is this a neighbourhood dispute? Just because he happens to now be a neighbour, why does it mean he can get away with criminal acts?
I mean, the thing that really tipped it was when Mike was out in the garden there, not doing anything to annoy him. He came and shouted at him and saying, "What are you, a paedophile?" You know, and really loud, so the whole neighbourhood could hear it.
And he posted stuff online to the same effect.
Yeah. Michael takes pictures of small children, you know, stuff like that. It's all totally untrue.
But I take photographs of their family, which I've never ever done. Ever. That is libel or slander, whatever it is, it's something, of course, but still.
We have over 12 months now of this. It doesn't leave us alone. There's a huge number of these small incidents that, as the warning notice, barely scratches the surface.
And hasn't had any effect anyway.
And now he's ignoring even that.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's irritating because we said to Sandra, who was the first officer who came round, and she PCSO, and she, I think
Yeah,
anyway.
Second PCSO, yeah.
When she first came round, said all it needs is someone wearing a uniform like yours to go round and tell him that this can lead to police action if it's taken to an extreme. Anything to show that the police. Nobody did that. They just went round him and said, "We've been complained about. Behave."
And the most they've ever done is serve him that ASBO warning, which is the closest
then,
equivalent.
for
Even
the next
that
6
he
months,
ignores.
6 months, he continued to do stuff.
When he was served back on the 23rd of February, the noise complaint was lodged slightly after that, we believe. And of course, there's all this activity this week.
Now, I know you've defined indirect in the way you have, as in pretending to be someone else, effectively, i.e. using someone else's equipment.
Yeah, a way. Yeah.
And we are saying that actually any ordinary interpretation of indirect means anything he does, which means someone else actually or impliedly does the harassment on his behalf. Because that's what he's been doing.
What I've seen in terms of the case law is an act which has the primary effect of doing anything where the ultimate outcome will be intimidation is to be considered direct intimidation.
So, I mean, we think that the case law is all on our side on this.
Mm-hmm.
Even at its most basic, one of the complaints he's made is that Michael keeps naming him and shaming him on Nextdoor. There is no one post from Michael anywhere on Nextdoor which names him.
And that's one of the two reasons why I have this ASBO warning, for something I have never done.
There was one where right at the beginning, when he wasn't a neighbour, he was just a random builder who appeared to be doing some work next door.
I've got a video of him saying very loudly publicly, always fucking antisocial neighbours with their fucking noise and I think he said, sorry, that's what he said. And just very loud in front of everyone to make it sound like we're creating a problem. And while he's saying that, no noise can be heard until he pokes everything and sets off all the alarms.
I'll give you a minor example of his complete disrespect, as in anything he wants to do is proper, anything we want to do isn't. He chose although he didn't put in the kitchen himself, he says he's a gas safe engineer, and he put in the new boiler next door. Instead of putting it where everyone else does, like the kitchen side, where all the services are, he's put the boiler over against this wall, and he's stuck a tiny little vent out there, and what comes out of there is so over the pollution limits as to actually cause nausea in its own right, and it was immediately underneath Michael's air brick in his bedroom. We complained, and he said, well, I'm an engineer, so I know what's happening. And I said, well, here are the readings, they're way off the scale. He said, well, provided you pay for it, I'll put in a vent, one of those periscope type things, which take it out, put it further away, and it's way above that. So I said immediately, of course, I'll pay for it. And he hasn't done it.
Anyone from next door berating me for having a crappy old boiler, saying it's our boiler.
Because we made the mistake of ringing up the gas safe people saying we think there's dangerous boiler emissions here, and they came down, they checked our boiler, and he said, well, I can't find anything wrong here. Then he said, yeah, but check those. He checked those next door, and he came back and turned our boiler off. He said, according to my rules, I'm only allowed to turn off the boiler of the person who rings up.
And he only did that after you talked to Jack.
And Jack told him some
weird story, because before he went over, he was being reasonable.
Yeah.
And when he came back, he was being unreasonable.
And he went straight into our thing and turned the gas off.
We had to pay a standing charge of 60 quid to get his gas to come out and do an emergency service.
And the guy came and checked everything and said, this is in perfect working order, don't understand. So, but it's just another one in a whole litany of things that is going on.
And he says he can't. He one of the things I'm not allowed to do is take photographs of his property. Apparently, there's no law against that, especially if it's done for the purpose of preventing crime or recording crime in progress. That's really played out very clearly. But when he wants to, he can take photographs of our property all the time he wants to, and that's okay apparently. So if it's okay for him, why is it not okay for me? If it's not okay for me, why is it okay for him?
Who,
It's double
who
standard.
said that was not okay for you?
Everyone. All of the officers keep saying you can't take photographs of your property.
And we're not taking the
not.
property appears as the background in the edges of some photographs. That's all.
I mean, I'm not aware of. There's no law for that.
I know.
There's no. I mean, there's no law to even take a picture of someone else
I know.
if they don't want it.
I know.
I can understand like if it's like getting their inside of their house and what they're doing.
Yes,
Might
we
be a bit
know
of
this.
yeah, but there's no law against that.
Yeah, we know this. And we've
Yeah.
said this to several officers, and their response is, "Oh, well, you can't take photographs of someone else's property." They just keep saying the same thing over and over again.
This is
hoping somehow we'll make it.
This is the picture that PC Young said justified the complaint about taking pictures of his property. All it was is him, and just over there, because it's taken out from a still from the moving picture, it shows all the smoke coming up here. And everyone has said to us, if you're complaining about something, take evidence. So we took the bar off, which means that there's a bar on that camera, which means we can't see that normally. So we took the bar off so we could take the evidence, and actually in the moving picture you can see the smoke coming up here. And him standing there glaring at us while he's doing it. But the actual real image is up here. This is a tiny corner. We just did an enlargement to make the point.
Yeah.
And PC Young's used that.
And that's
So-
his only evidence of me recording his property, apparently.
And apparently we've named him. That was the post that PC Young has attached, saying as the reason why he's saying we shouldn't name him on next door. It's the only thing he's produced.
I mean, we've asked him to produce the evidence, and if he had any, surely he would say, here you go, shout from the rooftops, here's his evidence of this antisocial behaviour, blah, 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 blah. But he hasn't been able to because it doesn't exist.
Anyway, I don't know what you want to do about it, but
Well,
you've got to understand how stressed this is making us. And it's stressed because we're being treating as equal perpetrators with him, when in fact we've done nothing.
yeah.
And because we're treated equal perpetrators, he can get away with everything.
Yeah. Are you both willing to make a statement about him breaching his antisocial
Yes.
behaviour?
Totally.
Because I'll do that. We'll do that now.
Yeah.
And then have you got video footage of that time as well when he's speaking?
When we're
to you?
speaking,
Yes,
you've got
all of them,
yeah.
yeah.
Could you get that for me as well and send that to me?
Right.
I'll,
Have you got an email address? Give it to him and I'll just send you links.
what I'll do is I'll send you a link.
Yeah,
Okay, fine. Yeah,
Our
good.
like firewalls and stuff are quite
Yeah.
secure, so we can't send much.
Because the other thing you can do is there's on YouTube there are private things where the public can't see, and
Yeah.
because these take up lots of space.
I've already filled up all of my bloody...
We've got no storage space left. We're putting it up there, and you can have a link to that and take it down whenever you like. And if you want it sent to you,
I don't know.
It's a big file. Is the point?
Yeah, I don't know how well that'll work.
Well, could you find out? Because that's the easiest way. Because otherwise, I don't know whether we have to break it up into smaller files.
If you just get all I need is like the footage of him speaking
Oh, just
to
a
you.
bit where the voice is.
Yeah,
Okay.
just him speaking to you is the only bit I'll need.
I'll just take the tip off it. Yeah, right.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's all I need. And if you're able to like save that as a file,
Yeah.
and then I'll send you a link,
Okay,
and you
good.
should be able
Yeah.
to upload that file
Okay,
to
right.
the link.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, that'd be great. And yeah, if I get your statement, have you got like a table I can use?
Yeah, we just put it in space up there. We'll just put a chair you can sit on.
Yeah, so I'll bring that one if
Yeah,
that's okay.
yeah.
Well, you may find the stool easier because it's less cumbersome.
It's a bit better height as well.
Yeah, that's okay. Okay, we'll do that now because that's the most the main thing he's done.
And that triggered this latest call. So that's
Yeah, that's there. Repeatedly.
Police now to 196 Darrington Road, SW17 for ASB.
What I'll do is I'll get a statement from the both of you. It shouldn't take too long. I've
Yeah.
already got like a
I know,
from when I was on Safer Neighbours, I've got like a pro forma that we use for like people who breach their community protection notice warnings and things like that.
Michael, do you want to put that light on as well?
Oh,
Because we're getting a
oh
bit-
yes, yes.
so-
Yeah, you guys like photons, don't you? Yeah. Yeah, give a get a you people like photons. Oh yeah, some people like that, don't they? Can I have a glass of water or something?
All good, thank you very much.
And I need to have a look through.
Some tea.
Weird. Oh, you get enough of it. That's too many, isn't it?
There is a link tab with the Liquid mobile on your phone. 07523 912 482. Well, Catherine, go ahead. That's all received. Sorry, the return to debrief stuff. Thank you. You go ahead.
Bear with me a bit.
Yeah.
Oh, one, no. Everyone takes a while to put on a learning.
Oh, yes, that seems more.
Sorry.
You get up-to-date stuff, or is this fairly long in the tooth, this tech?
We get up to date stuff, but just technology is just rubbish. Like, if you saw, because I'm from Wimbledon Police Station, if you saw, we have like a writing room which has loads of.
Stations,
Well,
yeah.
we're all supposed to be using these, which can plug into monitors and
Yeah.
stuff like that. But half the room is on like computers, and the other half all have screens that don't work. So half the time, all of us can't even like use
Oh,
stuff. It's dreadful.
frustrating.
Very. Right.
So at one point I thought you guys were going to be issued with Microsoft Surface 2s.
What's that? Is that a tablet?
Yeah, it's a tablet. Yeah. But it's an IBM based.
Mm.
So it's compatible with all the existing stuff. Not bad bits of kit, but you know.
And I
Yeah, no, it's not
they
great.
have confirmed it on the calendar naturally well.
So
That's better than a pad and
it's-
pen. I mean.
Shall I just take your details first of all before we start? So it's Michael Hart,
Yes,
isn't
so
it?
it's Michael HART, yes.
Oh, please. Stand by.
What's your date of birth?
20th of October, 1979.
And you live here, I take
Yes.
it. So
54 James Lane. So Mike 4 Hotel Sierra.
Was it sorry, Sarah Mike 4?
4 Hotel Sierra. SM44HS.
And do you have a contact number?
Mobile
Yeah.
07827
Yep.
445703.
You do have an email address as well?
Yeah. MOHART@outlook.com.
Did you start requesting space for the Marks and Spencer shoplifter?
And then it's Nicholas Hart, isn't
Correct, yeah.
it? Nicholas spelled the usual way?
By that you mean with an H in the middle. Yeah.
And what's your date of birth?
18 June 1947.
And you live here as well?
Yeah.
And what's your contact number?
07 860
Hotel 2323 at
54
Yep.
15 08.
Brilliant. And do you have an email address?
Yeah, ndhart@outlook.com.
ndhart@outlook.com. Brilliant, thank you. So it's just going to be a lot of kind of me typing for the moment, and then I'll just ask you periodic questions.
Fine.
That's 2 here.
Ahead.
It was an ASB notice, wasn't it? That you both were given.
So sometimes they call it an SB notice, other times in person is called an SB warning.
Yeah.
Notice its correct term.
Yeah.
So I found that folder we.
Oh, I took it yesterday.
Right, yeah, that's a different folder. Is that the Cherrywood folder? Oh, yeah, it's Cherrywood. No.
Maybe it's upstairs somewhere.
Yeah.
Oh, I know it might be. Maybe I go upstairs somewhere.
It's a funny little piece of paper, isn't it?
Is that so?
The SB warning thing is a funny little piece of paper.
Yeah, we give out. Like, I've got stuff here. Like, but like we can give out fines and stuff, and they're all
Yeah.
like, just
Yeah, it's about half the size of that, isn't it?
yeah.
It doesn't matter, I mean, it just I was mildly interested in seeing it. So it's something you can give out on the spot, in other words, so it's easy to do.
So yeah, so was it this he was given, and social behaviour warning?
Yeah.
And it looked a bit like that.
Yeah, you'll find it break down, but that's much more like it, yeah.
Yeah.
Could hardly read it.
Yeah, I know.
That was a bit dark, yeah.
Yeah, okay. And then a little big. It's more medical stuff.
Jack Connell, wasn't it?
Yeah,
His name?
yeah. Connell, isn't it? Yeah.
She's with the jail.
Mm.
Yes, they think that she's apparently with a 3-year-old son. Have you done any checks on this address? Think the child actually exists? But she's got some child files for his nano. I think you need to wrap somewhere.
It happened outside the front.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it says in the front garden, specifically down the right hand side border, where my mother's funeral flowers are located.
SM4, what was the post?
4HS.
4HS. Or 4HS.
Yeah, SM4 4HS.
Right, I'm back in the place. How long have you lived here for?
39 years.
Right, you only lived here with your parents, right?
Yeah.
What was your mother's name?
Mary Hart. Died May 7th, 2021 at 4:37 in the morning.
That is what I don't. I do know a person who just.
Have you got a copy of what his notice actually told him he couldn't do?
So I've seen it.
Okay.
It's the same form, presumably, because actually we've never seen the form, so I'm assuming
Yeah.
it's the same.
Yeah, it's similar-ish, but it says to not.
No, I know, but the actual form that he's been given is one of these, presumably.
Yeah, it would be
Yeah.
the same.
Because curiously, his one says you can't do anything deducted from number 56.
Just a typo there.
Yeah, police officers, we're not that intelligent, unfortunately, all the time. We do get things wrong.
That's what it is.
Yes, but Michael, having read some of the stuff that you type, I think
I do know the person who's
it's terribly difficult to check your own stuff.
Oh yeah. Makes you too close to it, you know. You mean what you want to read.
And he's 56, isn't he?
Yes. Same postcode.
Short Metro for library is in Martin Parkman House, 27 High Park, 19.
59, maybe
Got
the
most of the
56
section
showed
to
me.
leave, different stairs, that, the screaming in the background. It's on the
Yeah, he effectively moved in last February. But he started work before that.
You should ask for the last item. Is that 931 late? Yes, yes. Yep, it is.
How long has this dispute been going on for, would you say?
Yeah.
A year.
Yeah, he started working in February,
Yeah.
but by March it had become toxic. So the year, 13 months, February last year.
So what day was this when you breached it?
Was that Tuesday?
I think it was Tuesday.
Yeah, because it was the day after I came home,
Yes.
wasn't it?
Yeah.
So Tuesday.
Yesterday.
Yeah.
Oh, today's Wednesday. is it?
Today's
Yeah.
Wednesday.
Oh no, in that case Monday.
Monday.
Monday,
Yeah.
first day I was back.
Okay. Monday.
I've done it so many times it's hard to keep it straight in your head.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it was the first one. Yeah.
Why do I think it was Thursday?
Smoke
And his
coming
van
up
was
with-
outside with the name of the business on it. So Michael said, be careful if you're employing this person to make sure they behave, or this company. So it didn't name him, it just named the company. Since then he's not even named the company. And yet he self-identifies all the time. He must be talking about me. And about 4 or 5 occasions it wasn't even about him. He was just claiming it was about him. So
It's funny, I've lived here for 40 years. I've got 40 years of information and stories and anecdotes about different neighbours. And it's unfair and unreasonable to say any time I mention a neighbour, it automatically must be some sort of insult against him. It's just paranoid. I mean, I make it very clear when I say about neighbours. I say, this happened somewhere else, or this one's living over here.
but
They don't count.
I mean, from my point of view, I have no doubt at all that my wife dying last May was the direct result of what he did next door. He brought in a mate of his with a heavy-duty industrial-sized router and spent 3 weeks going up and down that wall. And these walls are paper thin. And the way these walls work, it's louder this side even than that side. And on that side, they were wearing ear mufflers.
And they knew they were doing it.
Yeah.
And they knew they were about to
And
do it.
I went round to complain. He said, we're entitled to do what we like. It is the right tools for the job. We don't have to do anything, which is incidentally against the Merton Code of Conduct.
Which is rule number 7.
And
18, which is broken.
and he said, but anyway, so this way we get it done really quickly. It'll be all over before you know it. 3 weeks later, it was still going on. And she changed from someone who was bedbound but looking forward to life to someone who was basically dying.
And she just gave up.
And it was very, very quick. So, and he has no compunction about it at all. When challenged, he said, "Oh, well, she was ill anyway." You know, that's his attitude.
That's disgusting attitude.
So we have deep concerns about him in all sorts of ways, but the most immediate problem, and hence the one I want to call this time, is if he's not even prepared to listen to that element of what we think is an inadequate ASB notice, he's not going to be stopping doing anything else either. And now we've got the noise nuisance one.
Yeah.
And all the time, I've now got Miss Asbo, so I can't do anything about anything, even if I wanted to. Because anything that I might try to do is now in breach of a warning I shouldn't have.
But what we said to PC Young is we think you, PC Young, are aiding and abetting him in the continuation of a criminal offence, i.e. the harassment, by doing this ASB notice on Michael. We're hoping that our lawyer, the CIL lawyer, will sort that out and get it withdrawn. But the reality is, every time he is supported, he takes it as encouragement that he can continue to do what he's doing.
What's the you got a length of time for the ASB warning?
No. There's no date on it, is there?
No.
Just over and
Because
over
normally
and over.
for like it's a bit different, but community protection notices and warnings we give out, they normally have like a year or a couple of years for them to like desist in the behaviour. Okay.
I mean, the reality is, this is too deeply entrenched in terms. We will never be neighbours. Okay, it's too late.
Yeah.
but we should be able to live with a line down the middle where we don't interfere with each other.
Mm.
And the very minimum that ASB warning should have been was to try and do that, and he's ignored it.
Mm.
So what we're really asking is him, if he told he shouldn't ignore it, that it is a problem that he's ignored it.
Well, it's now time for an injunction. This is the only way forward now. If an ASB won't do it, then injunction.
Well,
That's the next step up.
if he's breached an ASB warning, I'm sure there's other. There are other like avenues we can go down.
Well, how about prosecuted for the crimes we know he has committed, of which there is evidence? Just sitting there. I mean, that'd be great.
The real, I keep saying the real problem. What we're talking about is Michael, who's been physically and psychologically damaged by it. That the business with the router has left him with permanently damaged hearing, because his bed is up against that wall, and his head was against the wall when they first started, and it just did him. He's had psychological stress, so he's on these heavy-duty pills. He has non-epileptic related seizures if he doesn't take the pills because of the stress. And the police are exaggerating the stress by not taking it seriously.
Mm.
And they're making it more and more stressful. There's no way he can come off the pills unless the police take sides. And I know that you don't want to take sides. But unless you take sides, he is being damaged all the time by that failure.
Yeah.
Whereas he's getting away scot-free.
Mm.
And now he's damaging. He's now poking things so hard.
Yeah.
And I stood beside him as he mended.
Stand by one second. Joe, was it for Rowan?
The pest propeller installations.
And the piping. And the pump is broken.
No, no,
And the irrigation pipe.
Yep.
And then while he was doing that,
Yeah.
Jack came out, or Connell kept that moving right, came right up to the fence, so he was within 2 or 3 feet of Michael. And started talking to us.
Yep.
I mean, I would say, I don't remember the exact words, but it was on the lines of whether or not it was normal to have 8 devices.
First said words along the lines of, is it normal to have these many devices?
Yeah.
These many devices. Yep.
I knew it was dangerous to engage in that conversation, so kept silence.
Yeah.
And as soon as Michael was finished, we turned round and went back inside. But he stayed standing over the spot.
And he was still talking at us as we would get back inside, wasn't he?
Well, I can't remember that now, but the video will show it.
Yeah.
I think he was waiting to see whether we'd come out again if he went in. And then he went in when he was satisfied that we hadn't, but that's guessing, so it's up to you whether he wanted to stay or not.
Okay. Yeah, is that it? Is there anything else?
No, in terms of that incident, that's it.
Well, apart from that, right to when you go have some medication, go to bed.
I was aware Michael had been quite distressed by this and encouraged him to go to bed with some extra medication.
previously. This is cat 5449, 5449. Over. Yes, on route. It should still be on route shortly.
Okay. Okay.
From control, we've got another high grade 25 and a 90 for exam safety, suicidal customer from the high grade control.
Has been issued Wellington social behaviour warning to contact
Go ahead, okay.
us both directly and indirectly.
Yes,
Set on the 23rd of Feb, wasn't it? We said.
23rd that he got his.
Yeah, just out
Correct, Charles. When you are going in, is that text or personal attack?
I know it's. I don't know if it will go to court, but we have to ask if you're both willing to go to court over the matter if it comes to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Right, I'll just read you out yours then. So,
G4,
what
you'll
it
be
says.
direct with that last high grade. Control, go again with the last one.
This statement relates to the antisocial behaviour notice breach I witnessed of my neighbour Jack Connell outside of 54 Cherrywood Lane, SM44HS. I am the above named person and reside at the address known in detail to police. I resided at the property for approximately 39 years with my wife Mary Hart and son Michael Hart. I do know the person who has breached the notice. His name is Jack Connell. I refer to him as Connell for that rest of his statement. He has been our neighbour living at 56 Cherrywood Lane, SM44HS, and we have had an ongoing dispute with him since approximately February 2021. The dispute has consisted of many incidents which have involved police and other agencies such as the council, carers, Merton CIL and GPs. We have never had a dispute before with our neighbours. It has only been since they moved in last year. On Monday the 14th of March 2022 at approximately 16:45, Michael came downstairs to tell me he had seen someone doing something outside the front of the property.
Well, I didn't see
So on the video.
anything. I heard it. I heard your alarms go off. I didn't see anything.
So we only saw it on the video when
Yeah.
we looked to check the video.
Yeah.
So the alarms.
Okay, tell me he had heard the alarms going off on the driveway. He then checked the CCTV we have. And saw someone doing something outside. So Michael came downstairs to tell me he had heard the alarms going off on the driveway. He then checked the CCTV we have and saw someone doing something outside the front of the property. Is that better?
But by sea, all I could tell was there's movement where there shouldn't be movement.
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's not
I
seen.
think
I mean,
that no.
Saw something
I mean, I could perceive something was different, and it shouldn't be that way. But I can't see that well. I mean,
So you would, have we at that point said in it about it being severely sight impaired?
yeah.
No, I've got it in
Yeah.
his one. But, oh no, I haven't got it on here yet. I'll just put he then checked the CCTV we have and saw something happening outside the front of the property, which shouldn't have any movement. We agreed to go outside and check, but only once Connell, who we suspected it to be. Sorry, I'll say that again. We agreed to go outside and check, but only once Connell, who we suspected it to be, returned inside his property. I then followed Michael outside as I am his carer and he is severely sight impaired to check what had happened and to make sure he would be okay. I stood beside him as he mended the pest propeller insulations and irrigation pipe. Whilst he was doing that, Connell came out right up to the fence, being within 2 or 3 feet of Michael, and started talking to us. Connell said words along the lines of, "Is it normal to have these many devices?" I knew it was dangerous to engage in the conversation, so I kept silent. As soon as Michael was finished, we left and walked back inside our property. I am aware that Connell has been issued an anti-social behaviour warning detailing for him not to contact us both directly and indirectly, which was set out on the 23rd of February 2022. I can confirm that this behaviour was experienced by myself and Michael Hart. I am willing to support police action regarding the matter and attend court if necessary. This is a true and accurate account of the events to the best of my knowledge as of writing this statement.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Right, what I'll do is I'll quickly paste this in, and there'll be a few other questions I need to ask the two of you, and then it shouldn't take too long. And then what I'll do is I'll put on what we call an airspace, which is to flag out to the Safer Neighbourhood teams to say that this has happened, and I'll tell them I've got statements from you that he's breached his antisocial behaviour warning, and they should take it from there.
That'll be our 15th airspace notice.
This is, and you'll send us the link.
Oh yeah.
I'll do that whilst I'm here. Actually, don't really forget to do that. So this is.
Received it, I just want to make inquiry.
Did you get that? Just 154.50, yeah.
What's your preferred means of contact, Mr. Hart?
Email.
Is there any dates within the next 6 months you're out of the country or that you won't be available?
Nope.
What is your occupation?
I'm a legal consultant.
Seeds in local area to, do my bit to net zero carbon,
So see, yeah. To get carbon emissions down. Yeah. Is there anything else you want to say?
Yeah. What's the question again?
So it was your social impact. So the last thing I put, I used to visit my friends and volunteer at the Heritage and Local Study Centre. I also used to go around planting trees and sowing seeds to get the carbon emissions down.
Yeah, and this is also adversely affecting my family relationship.
It's also adversely affecting my family relationship. Yep. Do you want to describe how?
So, how do I describe this? Me and my father often argue and have disagreements about how to handle what's going on next door.
Next door, yeah.
And it's a source of never-ending stress and tension.
It's a source of never-ending stress and tension.
And contributes to my reliance on strong medication.
Strong medication.
Including diazepam. Which is addictive.
Diazepam. Which is addictive. Okay.
Yeah, and that's enough of that.
Okay, and quality of life, employment, ability to perform at work.
Right. Quality of life is being detrimentally affected by the fact that I'm no longer engaging with the community in any level whatsoever.
Detrimentally affected because I cannot, what was it, sorry? I cannot
have any meaningful engagement with the local community.
engagement
Don't be delayed, Hampshire Police.
local community. Yeah.
Due to being unable to, due to now being effectively housebound.
And turn at some point about.
See above. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Okay, due to now being critically healthful. Okay.
My physical health has suffered because I no longer get regular rigorous exercise.
Suffered
Order number, please.
because I no longer get to physically exercise.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think that covers it.
Number of the resident officer when he pitch hospital.
Any additional support needed, i.e. additional measures if they're likely to appear as a witness, if you're to appear as a witness?
Well, I'm now in regular contact with my GP every couple of weeks to make sure I haven't killed myself. I joke about that, but yeah, that actually happened. I'm under current
Sorry, is this to this is just kind of to get you to court? So is there anything
Oh,
like
no, sorry.
Whether or not we don't need Adrienne there.
Yeah, it's just because it would be helpful to have in attendance Adrienne, who is the adult support coordinator for Merton Independent Living.
What was her name? Sorry, Adrienne.
Adrienne something.
It's very
The
Yeah,
or
sorry,
something
dig it
like
up,
that. But you can find it.
Yeah.
Because she knows more about this than I do, because due to the drugs, I've forgotten loads of stuff.
All standby number.
Ruin my short-term memory. But she's got all the documentation, so she'll be very good as a support witness. And of course, I've also got a therapist now, and that might be helpful if she's coming along, I don't know.
Last time we had a message direct from her.
I think I've pretty fine now. If she gets there first.
So, what was the result for St John's Avenue? Yes, I was put it on for now then.
Let's try that one.
She must have got it, signed it. It's got the Adrienne, because she's double barreled one.
Yeah.
There we go. What have we got here? You seen it? Oh, that's an email address, isn't it?
It's just the email address.
Oh, no.
Personally, it's just the email address. So
You might have it at the bottom.
Yeah, there might be someone
Deja
there.
vu about this actually. It's good.
She has a signature, lots of emails, and there might be one there. It's like, I think it's in blue.
Yeah, it just says Outlook for Android.
Yeah. Let's try again. Got to find a new one. Oh, let's try.
What is she? Sorry, what is she?
Yeah, she's Adult Services Coordinator for Merton Independent Living.
Services Coordinator.
let's see if I've got her separately in the
I can
contents.
find any
Which I
old.
should do.
There's got one here somewhere. About one somewhere. I sent this lady really emails.
Anyway,
I think I found it. I found something at least. This might be it. It's got her logo on it, so it might be in here. Ah, here we are. Could be that. So I think it'll be a bit hard from that.
Adrienne, yeah, here we go. So
Here we go. I'll go it first.
Adrienne Davis. Palmer. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, it'd be helpful to have Adrienne Divisio Palmer there, as she's my adult services coordinator to Merton Independent Living.
Yeah. So that's her. I think her proper job title's there.
Just what, sorry?
Her proper job title should be there as well.
disability, hate crime, caseworker.
Oh, that's what she's okay, right.
Disability, hate crime,
Go ahead.
Okay, is there anything else in terms of trial you can do?
Because I can get in there, so transport is okay.
He can get me there. As long as I can use McCain. I mean,
Yes.
yeah.
Any financial loss or compensation that you've kind of like comment on?
It's not the point.
It's not the point anymore. I mean, if there's lots of stuff we could talk about, it doesn't really matter.
Okay, and then any other issues that haven't been covered?
Don't think so.
Okay. Would you like to read it yourself
No.
out, or would you like someone else to read
Yeah,
it?
just get the folks to read
We
it.
are aware about that.
You can fill in the gaps I can ask.
Okay, so I'll read it out to you.
Okay,
So,
good.
I've suffered permanent hearing loss and I suffer with tinnitus. Tinnitus, is that Tinnitus?
Yeah.
I am under treatment with social anxiety. I have been suicidal and attempted to take my life twice. I have had intervention from numerous medical and social services, which have all been a direct consequence for the last year's worth of antisocial behaviour from Mr. and Mrs. Connell. Lots of it is classed as disability-related harassment. I haven't left my house alone for 7 months due to the anxiety and fear of what may happen to me because I can't see what's happening around me and I don't know what Mr. Connell will do to me. I am also fearful of what could happen to me due to the false allegations he has spread of me being a paedophile. This is the reason why I am on high doses of medication to deal with anxiety, stress and fear. All family and friends have been affected. I used to have lots of contact online, which has been severely restricted because of the abusive actions of Mr. Connell. I used to visit my friends and volunteer at the Heritage and Local Study Centre. I also used to go around planting trees and sowing seeds to get the carbon emissions down. This incident has also adversely affected my family relationship, as my father and I would often argue and disagree about handling next door, as it's a source of never-ending stress and tension. It contributed to my reliance on strong medication, including diazepam, which is addictive. My quality of life is detrimentally affected because I cannot have any meaningful engagement with the local community due to now being effectively housebound. My physical health has suffered because I no longer get to physically exercise. And then it would be helpful to have Adrienne Dorizio Palmer there, as she is my disability hate crime care worker for Merton Independent Living. Is that all okay?
Seems okay, doesn't it?
Very good to me. Yep.
Anything from Shield there? Because I can't think of anything else.
You're willing to attend court?
Yes.
Is there anything that can be done to ensure your attendance?
No, I'll quite happily go. Yeah, no.
Okay.
You try and stop me. It's like,
Do you require any special measures assessment as a vulnerable or intimidated witness?
well, I don't want to come face to face and be cross-examined by, with him in the room, because reasons. And apart from that,
Okay. Do you have any disability needs?
but not to affect this. I mean, the only hardest thing would be getting from the seat to the witness box or whatever. But yeah, that's manageable.
Just said, I mean, I think you just have to say none other than appropriate for someone who is fully sight impaired.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
I might need a guide here and there, but
okay, so healthcare no, childcare no, transport no, language
No.
visually impaired yes, and then restricted mobility no.
only as much as if I haven't got a guide, haven't got my cane, I can't do anything. But
Okay, I'll
Yeah.
as long as there
because I can foresee need for someone to guide me. So if my dad does it or someone else, but still.
is a guide or I have my cane. I should be okay. Is that right?
Yeah.
I should be alright.
I did Surface one time and they confiscated my cane because I had metal in it. So
yeah.
you know, cool things. You know.
How do you spell cane?
CANE.
C-A-N-E.
It's a guide cane.
Okay. And then you said ideally you wouldn't like to be in the same room as him.
Well, I don't want him to be sneering over me in any sort of way. Cause
He'll be quite. I don't think he'll be close to.
oh,
you.
fine. As long as I can't see him, that's fine. Then.
He'll be in the same room.
Yeah, oh, fine.
Yeah, is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
But I wouldn't want him to be able to directly cross-examine me. Or anything like that.
No.
But apart from that, yeah. I'm afraid of him. I'm scared of him. I'm intimidated by him.
Yeah. Okay. So, do you require an appropriate adult?
Well, as long as my dad's there, it's fine.
No, because it's just to facilitate communication.
Oh no.
No.
Alright, thanks very much. Okay, thank you.
And from Michelle, as you were described in
Do you consent to your statement being disclosed for the purposes of civil proceedings, if applicable?
That's fine.
Could I grab your signature just a question? Do you want me to?
Yeah, I don't know how you could do that. Okay. Is it a pen or is it?
Yeah. So,
Alright.
I'll give you my tablet. Can you see this white box here?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Just
so
place
if
it. Yeah.
yeah, that's the.
Let's do that.
There you go.
Okay.
it's on the X-Factor.
And I'll hit save, and then I'll just need another one. It's just your whole statement. Would you like me to read it out? All
Oh,
out
that's
to-
fine.
Okay.
It's not ready.
Okay. So
Little boxes.
it says, by signing here, you are agreeing to the following declaration. This statement is true and
Yeah.
to the best of my knowledge and belief, and I make it knowing that if it is tendered in evidence, I shall be liable to prosecution if I have willfully stated anything in it which I know to be false or do not believe to be true.
Fine.
Then, yeah, so it's the same.
Well,
That's the and then the. Second.
Oh.
So I try again. It's just because I think your hand's leaning on. Yeah.
I think it might be nose printing by now. Sorry.
Okay, that's it. Right. I think that's probably it.
Yeah.
What I'll do is I will.
We just about Nick now, don't we?
You what? Sorry.
We just about Nick now, don't we?
Say again. Sorry.
We just about Nick.
Oh yes, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good point.
Calling out Max Childcare.
I've got to figure out how to do it.
Yeah,
I did know.
Elliot Call, Cat 5742, and that's 9318, yeah? Thank you. So I've got an high grade now, High Street SW15, it's the Waitrose store. Got two decent customers refusing to leave, and one of them is throwing a punch at the manager. It's on the IMAX show. Three tonight, there was that 3-1 late, putting up the door.
So I didn't get in, yes, 3-1 night.
One night, no.
There is.
Oh, good. Hopefully wants the new plug.
Please, Cat 5764, 5764. There's no security there, so the manager doesn't try to deal with these
Let's see.
Right, so that's currently got 27 done into the unit account back there, CAD with that results over via MDT. Or just a quick one, I can pop statement, you know, let's show. For back to Mona 14. Sorry, in 1214 Lombard Road, 11. Got that domestic location.
Do you want me to send the link to your email, Michael?
Yeah.
He's the one who can deal with it. So.
Yeah. I've got the footage on my phone, so.
Suitable. So this phase that is for quality control. Yes, it could be a Is that for the text off? Yeah, that one. Yeah, Dave. Yes, yeah, we said, I think LS will call that executive mechanical.
Okay, an invite has been sent.
Yes, yes.
Are you able to check?
Yeah.
I don't actually.
What? Something just happened.
What that sounds like it could be good.
Axon?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Do you mind if I have a look?
Good idea.
Evidence submission request. Jack Garden requested evidence. Please click on the link below. Link is valid for 3 days. Show request. Yeah, it's brilliant. Okay, so there's the there's the blue box to view requests. If you kind of hold on that and open,
Okay.
it says to open link on that
Okay,
blue box.
right.
Open the link and then just drag or just click
Yeah.
on whatever
Yeah.
link you want, and it will go in.
Do you know if there's a file size limit?
No, I don't think there is for
Sure,
this
okay,
one,
yeah.
but we only if you can
Yeah,
just give me the one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that should be it. Like I said, I'll put on a report to just say that he's breached it, so that safer neighbourhoods are aware and they can kind of take action from there. But they should have all the evidence needed. They've got your statements and the footage, so they can kind of see and take it from there. Do you have any questions for me whilst I'm here?
No, that's enough. Sorry, can we have your name as well?
Yeah, so it's Jack Harding.
And just right on the top there.
2 OC1 males, both wearing glasses. One has black trainers, and one has white trainers, and one has a reddish scarf. That's all we've got. Over.
Do you want me to give you my email address as well?
Well, is it on the link or not?
I don't know if it'll
No,
be on there. I'll give it to you anyway.
Yeah. Hopefully we don't have to contact you again if he's gone back to the team. But
Yeah.
I think we should go to PC Young or New or one of them.
anyway, is Sergeant new or PC new?
This Sergeant is, yeah.
I mean, it's your vote anyway. Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Okay,
I'll
well,
leave
thank you
to
for your
it.
time.
Thank you so much for your time.
I know, obviously, it's very frustrating. Like I said, these name disputes are difficult for us to kind of help resolve in an effective manner. But just keep kind of going with it, and like I said, keep to your conditions, because and he can make whatever allegations